This is TWiT.
Pretty big news are the rumors about the iPhone SE2 could arrive soon, probably without a headphone jack. I think it was the Fast Company headline this morning. It was like, Apple gets serious about killing the headphone jack, which I just thought was so funny. It's like so dramatic. So yeah, Mac Okatara said that they think it's going to, based on cases, I think, same size case, no headphone jack, an A10 chip, possibly Qi supported glass back.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so these are all rumors. Also rumored around $550, and the way they can get that price with the glass back and the A10 chip is to have an LCD screen instead of an OLED screen.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of Apple products, a lot of iPhones especially, that just won't have OLED, and that's one way that they differentiate between the high end of the line and the rest of the line, and that they keep the price down. I know a lot of people look at the SE and think, it's an iPhone 5. It's so boring. It's so old. Why does it exist? But
I just bought two.
When Apple very rarely breaks out like what model of iPhone. They'll tell you iPhone sales, but they won't tell you which models. They will occasionally say, like, the moment the iPhone 10 came on sale, Tim Cook said, it became their best-selling iPhone, which is counter to all these rumors that, oh, the iPhone 10 isn't selling well. No, it's selling the best of all the iPhones. The iPhone SE, when it first came out, Apple actually said we were taken by surprise at how popular it was. And it was something like between 10 and 15% of the phones sold during a time when Apple was selling a huge number of like iPhone 6 and 6S models. And so it's got a market. It's got a market for people who want a small phone. It's got people who don't want to spend as much on an iPhone. There are lots of parts of the world where the iPhone SE is the phone that Apple leads with because the people in those markets don't have the money to spend on an iPhone 10. So there are lots of reasons to do it. And the fact is, I mean, why did you buy them? I mean, I know people who just don't like big phones. Bottom line.
The iPhone 10 is the perfect size phone. I bought them for my twins who turned 13. One of them had my old iPhone 6 from 2015, and the other one had an iPhone 6S that he lost because he's 13 or because he's 12. And it possibly got stolen, unclear. But I had to buy two phones, and I went to Twitter and I was trying to decide between a refurbished 7 and the SE, the iPhone SE, and everyone said the SE for that age child. Also because the reason why we had to replace the 6 is it had been dropped 2,000 times, but this is a better size for your hand when you're smaller. They don't need it, and we ended up returning one of the twos because we got an iFixit case, and one of my boys fixed the 6 and replaced the battery, and it's perfect. But he loves it. I mean, my other son loves the SE. It's perfect. And I don't understand kids that are walking around with iPhone 10s or iPhone 7s or 8s. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. There's a place for an iPhone SE in the lineup. And the thing is, it's old now, right? It's a couple years old. And when Apple released it, though, they released it based on the tech that was in the previous phones that were released 6 months earlier. So if that follows, we should see something that's kind of like an iPhone 8 in an SE case. Wireless charging would surprise me. I think it would be great if they put that feature in. I just kind of assumed that they wouldn't redesign the back. That would be like a bridge too far, and they would keep it. But if they're taking the headphone jack out, then they're obviously doing some bigger internal changes. In fact, you could argue that the SE was so successful, and the SE was like literally just the iPhone 5S with some changes to it on the inside, but the external is exactly the same. You could argue that that was enough of a success for them to put a little more money into this every 2-year design update and actually make bigger changes to the cases. Also, I wonder, after a while, the tech that you use in these old products stops being available and you need to make a new version of it. I feel like that comes up every now and then. The MacBook Air, I wonder about the same thing. It's like, at some point, are they just not going to have the parts to make that thing anymore? And the SE is a little bit like that. Like, it's time to bring it up to speed. It's probably actually better for Apple to be using the same processor that they're already making for the 8 and the 10 instead of this old processor that they're still making just to stick in the SE and maybe like an Apple TV or something like that. So anyway, yeah, people who watch a show like this
are probably more inclined to be skeptical about the SE because they want the latest and greatest and the cutting edge tech. The SE is not ever going to be that, but it's popular with a certain slice of the market, and Apple's iPhone market size is so huge now that they can afford to sell an SE2, an 8, an 8 Plus, a 10, and they're still selling like the 7 and the 6S. And the 7 and the 6S Plus, right? Like they can afford to slice it all those different ways for different parts of the market. It's okay. Not everyone needs 10.
I also think, the people that watch this can tell the difference between getting a 7, like a refurbished 7, and an SE. Because like they're very specific, different, like there's very, very specific reasons why you'd get one instead of the other. And I think a lot of parents buying phones for their kids are just like, well, they tell me everyone has a 10 and that's the latest version, so I might as well like pay the $35 a month for the rest of my life to pay, because if they're buying from the carriers, which I think, like, if we're going to talk about, like, if they're buying from the carriers, it's not $1,000 or it's
Apple will let you do that too, where you spend a monthly fee, but either way it adds up to it is the equivalent of that, because the SE, because it's so much cheaper, will be a lot less per month too, or you can buy it outright. So refurbs are always good to look for. Older models are not bad to look for. The SE, if they revise this SE2, given what the price of the SE is, that's going to be a great deal, because it's going to be iPhone 8 level tech probably in a small phone, but also a much cheaper phone.
Yeah, if it's going to be $550, that's probably the...
You know who loves the SE are the case makers who made these iPhone 5 cases that were laying around, and they're like, what are we going to do with these? And I went on a trip last winter to Hawaii, and I had an iPhone 5 waterproof case that I had been like planning to take, and by the time we take the trip to Hawaii, it's like iPhone 5. And then I said to myself, iPhone SE totally fit, worked fine, worked great. So there are lots of accessories for the iPhone SE, so I hope they don't change the shape too much with the new version. Just leave that headphone jack there.